Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe that most high net worth individuals and their professional teams struggle to help them clarify their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the deferred sales trust is the best way to exit your highly appreciated assets tax deferred so you can grow and preserve your wealth. I'm your co-host, Pearson York, filling in for Brett Schwartz. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best wealth, business, real estate, crypto, and leadership individuals in the world, where we share ideas, deal stories, and inspiration so that together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. We're streaming on expertcresecrets.com, our YouTube channels, Capital Gains Tax Solutions, Kingdom Luxury Realty, YouTube channel, and our Facebook pages. Very excited about our next guest. He is a serial entrepreneur in the real estate investing and retail side of things in Texas. He's got a ton of real estate in different asset classes all across the board, and he's going to share with us some amazing value. And we're very, very, very blessed to have him on the show. So please give a warm welcome to Matt Teifke. Matt, how are you doing today, my friend?
Amen, man. I'm doing well. I'm really glad to be here. We're in Austin, Texas. Appreciate you having me on your show, and happy to get after it and add value any way I possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we dive into all the meat and potatoes here, I want to take people back a little bit and get to know you a little bit more. Tell us how you got to where you are today. What's the story?
It's a long story. It's been 13 years now, and I'm 30 years old. I started when I was 17, but was blessed to see my mom, single mom, invest in properties and literally go from cleaning houses to owning them, and got my license in college, worked all through college, got out, worked for a commercial brokerage, and I went back to school to get my commercial real estate master's degree from Texas A&M. And it's been a journey. I did apartment leasing. I got my appraisal license, and full circle, we've created a real estate brokerage. Tried to take the best of every brokerage that I've been a part of or seen, and to implement it all at TRE. And basically, the vision is to make money in and on real estate, and to try and open up multiple worlds where people can get more out of real estate for themselves, where you can wholesale, where you can flip, you can partner. We try to look at agents as partners. But it's a long journey, man. I'm happy to dive in as in depth or go on any little rabbit hole we want. But my goal was always to learn as much as possible about real estate, with the goal of figuring out how to own real estate. And worked at really high-end commercial brokerages for 4 years. Did that master's degree, and was just hustling, grinding. Done everything from cold call, knocking on doors, try to get creative, and ultimately was lucky and blessed to be around a lot of different people. And kind of what I've seen is, like, there's these different worlds of real estate. Commercial, residential. Then you get into retail, office, storage, industrial, wholesaling, hard money, like syndications. And I've done a good job of like seeing these and understanding them, and then trying to remove myself. And anytime I look at opportunity, try to figure out what's the best way to attack this deal. And just been super passionate, man. Been hustling and working as hard as you could imagine, and trying to build a great business and get around a lot of great people.
Yeah, well, we were talking a little bit offline. So, amazing story. It sounds like you have a lot of, knowledge, from the educational, world, and you don't see a ton of that. At least I don't see a ton of that, with real estate agents who have, master's degree in real estate and stuff like that. So that's cool. So before we kind of unpack a couple of things that you said, I wanted to just take one more step back and just kind of ask, a lot of people have strengths or gifts, whatever you want to call them, that help kind of get them to where you are. So what are your superpowers or strengths that you have that have kind of got you to where you are today?
I'd probably say the biggest thing is I'm just really willing to take a lot of risks, which is a strength and a weakness in some cases. And so I've just been able to, really embody like, let's go try things, let's go test things, try to push limits. I get super focused on whatever I'm doing. I kind of just go all in. That's another thing is like just super committed and consistent to whatever my goals are at the time. And like I said, the risk is a good and a bad thing. So try to do it in the best possible way. Like to say that I'm a people person. I really have done a good job of building a good network and seeking to continue to stay in touch with those people and to help them out. And over time, it's pretty amazing what you can put together and do with other people.
Yep.
So really, I'd say the risk aspect and just being a person that really tries to connect and help others get to their goals and figure out how we can grow together.
Cool. So taking risk and then going 110% and not hesitating is kind of where you're at. So has that worked? Seems like that's worked out really well. Has it backfired at all on you?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely has. And I always say, I got this quote from one of my buddies, but he said, "He who experiments the most wins." And I've always liked that quote. But it's backfired. I mean, I have got marijuana stocks that I own that have gone way down. I put a lot of money into them and down and down and down. And, I've done crypto here and there that's worked out well, but not like any kind of crazy amounts of money. I've had partnerships that haven't been great. I've had ones that have been really, really good and just try to continue to learn and be better. And, I think we talked a little, I've got like maybe 60, 70 properties that I own, but a lot of them with partners. And so most of them with partners. My partner Alex and I run TRE, and we pretty much buy everything together. And then there's these like one-offs where it's me, Alex, and someone else. And some of those have gone wrong. We just jumped in and didn't really fully understand who we were getting aligned with. I had a property management company that we owned, we managed 700 single family homes. I had two other partners, and they kind of forced me out of the business, which really sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get out, but kind of got pushed out, and that was somewhat of a failure, but it also worked out, financially in some ways. So there's been good and bad for sure. And, the biggest thing I've learned is try as hard as possible to understand like your core values and do you guys believe in the same things in some aspects? And are you clear on your vision? And if those things align, like obviously things can always go wrong and not always going to be right. But that's where I failed on the ones that didn't really work out.
So not having a clear vision or clarity on what exactly you guys were all trying to accomplish, having different values, different beliefs, is that's where you found that there was some challenges that you guys either A, had to overcome, or B, just dissolve the partnership or whatever the case may be. And so that would be your biggest advice, I guess.
Yeah, because we have the same values, right? Like, let's just say, not to be overly religious, but like if you were a Christian and like you're like, hey, we kind of agree with the same fundamental principles of how we should treat people, then things are gonna happen. You're gonna get in fights here and there, but you maybe could come back to that same core belief and forgive each other, for example. And if you don't necessarily believe in that, you might just cut somebody out. Like, you screwed me, like you're out, I'm never talking to you again. And we all make mistakes. And so, but like if you have those same core values and principles, maybe you can figure out a way to come back to each other, because not everything's going to be perfect. And I'm not saying that, you have to be a Christian or anything like that, but that's a good thing to think about. Like, do you believe in some of these ideas? And I wish I would have thought about that in the past, but you learn as you go.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the thing with that whole concept of, aligning people that have similar values, you definitely don't have to be a Christian or whatever. Like I happen to be one, and, it's something that I am really like dedicated about, but there's a thing to that, and I've seen it go the other way too. I've seen Christians screw Christians, like for sure. Like no one's perfect.
Yeah.
It absolutely happens,
100%.
but there's definitely like a, if you're truly in that spirit, right, and that spirit saves you, then that you feel dirty when you do something that's not good. So those are definitely like good people
Yeah,
to align yourselves with.
I agree, man. I mean, and I haven't been perfect. I've had, things that I've
Yeah,
done, and I've had people that just cut me out of, and nothing like, really, really horribly wrong, right? At least from my perspective. But
right.
they're like, I never want to talk to you again, and it makes me sad. Like, hey, like, I wouldn't want to do that to someone, even if they totally screwed
Yeah,
me over. Like, I'd like to believe that I would forgive them, and we could move on. But like you said, we're not all perfect. But it's just important to hopefully someone can take something from this, because it is good to
yeah,
have these conversations, even if it's not like a religious thing, but it's like,
right.
how do you view this? Like, what have you done in this situation? Like, and that could probably save a lot of partnerships up
Yeah.
front if you had those conversations.
And I mean, the thing is, if you have someone whose objectives are to, make $1 million and then like any way possible, and then you have another guy's objectives who, they want to provide, housing to the homeless, right? And they partner up, like there might be some tension on like the goals, right? They're totally disaligned. So I think there's a lot of
Totally.
wisdom in what you're saying as to, hey, before you know, partner up with somebody, make sure that you guys have a clear vision. I can't, every strong leader, who runs a team, who, has any sort of like, wisdom, always talks about making sure that your team is aligned on the mission, and
Yeah.
that mission is like the focus. Like, and so, there's obviously dichotomies with that, right? Balancing like one thing over the other, right? When do you sacrifice? And all this kind of stuff. But, having the vision, having the mission is really important. I think a lot of people talk about it today. I think it's become so like overstated, if that makes sense, like how important vision is, and people talk about it. And I think the people who get it are really trying to press upon it, and that's why they keep talking about it. But it's really, really, really hard to cultivate vision, like
Yeah.
a true vision.
Yeah.
And so if you have that and you can, explain that vision to people and align with people that have that, or, get them to see how their part fits into that vision, right? And what it can be bigger, then you have something really, really powerful. And it sounds like you did that, because we were talking offline, and your brokerage is what, 150 people right now?
Yeah. No, and
Something like that?
I'm glad you said that, because it's very interesting. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time, right? And I always like subconsciously knew what I was doing, but I never could put words to it. And it's like,
Yeah.
we're trying to better ourselves. We're trying to have some freedom, which real estate can provide. But then we sat down like a year and a half ago with my wife, and we were doing this thing called traction, which is a way to run a business.
Gino Wickman?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
good book.
we're doing this, core values and core focus, and I'm sitting there like, I hate this. I hate sitting down here and talking about this. It's so stupid. We're write a couple sentences down and throw them on the wall. But over time, it really just resonated more and more. Like, yeah, I understand why this is important, and we have a clear, core focus and core values, and I what you said really resonated with me, because it's not easy to get to that. And then once it kind of clicks, you're like, wow, this I do get it. And
Yeah.
I'll walk you through them real quick. Our core values are with, not for. So everyone works with us, not for us. We want people with no fear attitude, and then we believe within real estate that there's opportunities for everybody, no matter your race, your gender, anything. And then our core focus is to make money in and on real estate. And so those few things have come together to really paint this vision for people that it has resonated with them. And that is what's led to us getting 150 agents. And we're growing pretty fast. And they're like, I get it. I see it. And as far as I know, and I keep saying this because I kind of want someone to show me, or I want to see it, but I don't know or see anybody talking about this or promoting it. and it's not like we're better or anything. It's just we've kind of got a little clarity. But you go to
Yeah.
certain brokerages and they say, this is what we do. You stay in this lane, and I'm like, forget all those lanes. Do whatever you want. Build your own brand. Build your own team. Manage some properties. Flip some properties. Sell some properties. Wholesale some properties. Do it all. And I think there's a portion of people that get into real estate that want that, and then they never find that path. And so that's just who we are. Like, that's what I believe in. And partially, I think it's been driven that direction because where we're at, Austin, it's super competitive. So you have to kind of do some different things. But that's where we're at, man. And what you were saying really resonated. Like it really did. Is like, if we can just, get this out there more, which is what we've been trying to do, we could build something really special.
And so that leads me to another question, because I have a lot of very similar mindsets. I get shiny object syndrome all the time. I'll like be cruising the MLS and I'll see a deal. I'm like, that's a good flip. Like, let's see if I can find someone to do that. Or, hey, that'd be a really good wholesale, or this would be a really good rental, or, ooh, that's a commercial deal. I like that. But this is a luxury deal. I like that. So I get like all this kind of, I don't want to say noise, because I feel like there's and I guess it comes down to your mindset on this jack of all trades, master of none idea. So like, in the commercial space, I've heard, oh, you have to like hyper focus on like one thing. And like, that's like your lane. It's multifamily, right? Value add deals. Like, that's your thing. Or you're in mobile home parks, or you're in retail, right? You can't do it all. Or you're in luxury, or you're in whatever. And I don't necessarily know if I like really believe that. And I'm young and I could be naive and ignorant. I 100% I'm not perfect. So that's just my current beliefs I feel like there's so much overlap on these different like concepts that if you can just like pivot a little bit, then you can understand how they all apply to each other.
Yes.
And so when you were talking about all of your different assets that you have, I mean, you're kind of like all over the board within real estate. You have multifamily, you got single family, you got, assisted living. How do you manage that crossover? Because I haven't met too many people that have such a diversified portfolio within real estate and then a brokerage that's able to kind of like, hey, go after that.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that?
Well, I've got a lot of good partners. Like we have, property managers that we use. Also, a big part of it, man, is I put in the work. Like I've literally, it's not that I just like jumped into these things, but I've studied them and I've done it I've done leasing. I've helped people buy. I've helped people sell. I've wholesaled. I've bought properties. I was an appraiser. I had these like short stints where I'd go all in and like really zone in and focus on learning. And so it's a pretty broad background that not a lot of people have had, because I've done it for so long from an early age and like went all in. And then it's back to how we're so different is like, we're not the brokerage that tells you to like get your sales volume up, right? And I kind of understand what you're saying. Like, I'm with you. I'm the master, and jack of all trades and all that. But like, we're not the best place to, work strictly with leasing agents or this or that. And we don't claim to be that. But I do believe we're the best place that you can come to get more out of real estate for yourself. And that's what we're trying to be that's different. It's like, if you don't want to come here to be the best luxury listing agent in Austin. You want to come to be the best real estate entrepreneur, right? And we kind of came up with that, it's kind of a little funny little thing, but you spell out entrepreneur, right? TRE is right there in it. And so that's like this thing that we're living through. So it's just different. Like, if you want to be the best at something, that's great. But maybe here you want to be the best at getting more out of real estate for yourself. So although it seems like you're a jack of all trades, in some aspects you're not. And like, the world is so fast paced and changing that like nobody wants to just stick to one thing these days is how I see it, or a good percentage of people don't. And so we're just trying to fill that niche the best way we can.
So if I'm hearing what you're saying correctly, it sounds like you were able to hyper focus in on each little element and how much, and then learn it. Maybe not necessarily master it, but get it to like 95%, good enough to execute, right? Relatively efficiently and
Yeah,
understand it.
yeah,
Obviously, no one can know everything. So you're
yeah,
probably always growing. I'm assuming you're under the mindset that you're always growing just by talking to you
yeah.
under this. And I'm, just from how you,
Absolutely. And that's the no fear attitude, right? Is like you got to have a like by no means do I know everything about everything or
yeah,
anything like that, but I know enough uh, to then also have that no fear to go bet on myself to figure it out. And
right,
I really simplify things for myself to be like this, how much is it per door in an apartment? What's the expense ratio? Is it meet the 1% rule or not? Like, who cares about the cap rate? Like, I just like simplify these things and then I make quick decisions, but it's also based on like understanding what other people will pay and what values are. And then I'm trying to be significantly lower than that and
right,
understanding the market. Like, what does it look like to own a lot of properties in Austin or in general? And for the most part, it doesn't look like, you know, what you might think it looks like. Riding a boat or just getting all this cash flow, right? It's still a grind, it's still a hustle. And once you can understand some of these things, you can keep pushing forward and navigating and just be the best that you can at your craft.
so building it slowly, but surely. I want to ask how long you spent, in each kind of little sector before you felt like you were good enough to, move on. I understand that everyone, learns at their own pace and whatnot, but how long did you spend in each before you're kind of like, okay, I get this, I'm gonna move on now? Or
Yeah, year or two at a time. Like I did retail brokerage for 3 years, did the master's degree for 2 years, worked at a entrepreneurial brokerage in Corpus Christi for 2 years. So a year or two, but at the same time, like it wasn't always divided up like one and then the next. It could have been
yeah,
like five things at once. Buying properties along the way, buy subject to, buy a wrap, sell a wrap, like just learn.
so just going for it.
Yeah, man, and like you don't have to go buy 10, subject twos to understand it. You just buy one, and you kind of get it. Get the
Yep.
basics.
Cool. Um, okay, so you've owned all these properties, right? You sell any of them?
Yeah. Every time I've sold something, I've regretted it. But I only sold to buy something else. We to the extreme, back to the risk taker. We keep zero money. Like we got deals, and we're like, where are we going to get this capital? And somehow, by the grace of God, it always works out, and it's happening right now. We have like 60, 70,000 that we owe in the next 2 months. We're like, I'm like, me and Alex, like my partner, we literally treat each other's money like, how much you got? How much you got? I got 70. I'm like, I got 15. You know, hopefully these refis close. Maybe a
Yeah.
commission will get done. Maybe we find a wholesale. Maybe we just drop the contract. Hopefully not. We never really do.
Right.
But we're just like, let's just get out there and one thing I've thought about is like, people are always wanting to have this clear goal, and it's like, I don't know if I necessarily believe in that. It's like we're just having fun. Like we're just doing the best we can and trying to be different, and let's have some fun. Like let's enjoy the journey as much as we can.
Yeah, that's an interesting mindset, too, because you don't hear that at all. You know,
No, I mean
I
I
mean,
don't know. I mean I'm just talking out like you said. Like I'm learning and growing as I go, and like sometimes I'm like, yeah, that's pretty profound, and I'm like, wait, no, it's not. I don't know.
no, that's dumb. Like I'm
Yeah,
retract.
yeah. So I don't know. I do feel like that. Like it was for me to just be like, hey, just enjoy it. Like, and I thought of that like 2 days ago, because someone was like, well, what's next? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, why does there have to be something that's next? We're having fun.
Yeah, and I think that's a key, thing, man. Like if you're, got the joy, life's gonna throw highs and lows at you, and storms are gonna come, and if you can have joy within that, like that's so huge, and just things are going to work out or they're not, and they're either meant to be and they're not, and
Amen.
you do your best to make wise decisions, right? Don't be stupid about things, but at the same time, like, all right, cool, like, let's, yeah, I like that. it's a good, it's refreshing, because all the time you hear these, you have to have this strict plan and all stuff. And plans. When's the last time you had a plan that actually like went to plan?
No, I can't even stand them. I'm like, I got frustrated when I was like investing in some of these syndications. I'm like, what is this? What, like, this is literally just everyone's doing the same thing. You're just projecting all this random stuff, and it's never ever going to play out the way you think. So who cares? Like, can we buy this property and make it work? And will we do everything we can and go have the right partners to have each other's back when needed? Let's go get it done. I don't want to sit there and like, run these models and like, and that, that's just me.
Yeah.
But like, let's go do something.
So, if you've sold, right, you said that you repurchased, where does that mean? So were you like deferring capital gains tax with like 1031s, or like, have you run into capital gains tax issues at all, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've paid a lot, and I've tried to just tell myself like, I definitely think I have a lot to learn. It could be better. But on the flip side, when I'm buying properties, it makes it a lot easier when my income shows really well, so I can go get qualified to buy more properties.
Right.
So it's like, I paid a lot, but I want to buy more properties, so it probably makes sense. Like a simple example, in COVID, like when it was December of not this previous year, but the year before, I was like panicking because like I have a line of credit based on some stocks, and the stocks were going down, and the line of credit was still there. So I went and sold like 4 or 5 properties just to give myself some wiggle room, and I also sold them at a discount because it was December and it wasn't a great time. And then literally, man, like in Austin, the market like changed overnight. Like in January and February, those properties would have all gone up at least 100K.
Dang.
And I was just like, wow, like that never happens. But Tesla announced they were coming to Austin, and the roof just blew off. And I think it happened in a lot of other places. But like stuff like that, I had a property on Riverside, and I had to sell it in order to buy a condo that I had put a down payment on before it was even built. And then it was built, and I needed the money to go buy it, or I was going to lose the earnest money. So it was just like kind of literally forced to sell, but to just keep the whole business going, not like I want to sell to just sit on some cash.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so one of the things that that we have, so for your future like capital gains problems, there's this really awesome solution. It's called a deferred sales trust, and essentially what you can do is you can sell the asset. You can put it into whatever asset class you want. So you can sell a piece of real estate, you can go into stocks, or you can sell a crypto and you can go into real estate, or you can sell crypto and go into stocks, or you could sell a business and go into real estate. It doesn't matter. You could sell whatever asset you want. You can put it into whatever asset you want. And essentially what you do is you transfer the asset to a trust, and the trust sells the asset to your buyer. And then the trust go ahead and write you a note. And then they go ahead and invest the funds based off your risk tolerance. So one of the greatest story. Now, this is not for every day, but this is the power of this thing because it gives you timing and control. So we had a guy back in the 2006. He had done multiple 1031s into this property. It was like a $20 million property, and it was across the street from the Minnesota Vikings stadium. And he wanted to sell a property, cash out. His depreciation schedule had traveled with him. And he had a really, really, really fat capital gains tax. I want to say it was like $3 million or something like that on this property. And so he's like, I don't want a 1031. I can't find a deal that pencils. Like everything's going up. I feel like it's going to crash. I don't know what to do. So he ended up finding us. He did a deferred sales trust with us. He sold the property. He deferred $3 million in tax, paid off his debt. And he put it into super conservative like bonds and like mutual funds. And he earned, I don't know, 4% or so, 4.5%, something like that. And he just waited. And when the market crashed in 2008, like he didn't lose that much money. And then in 2012, the bank calls him and they're like, hey, you know that property you sold back in 2006? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, we're foreclosing on the buyer. We'd like to know if you want to buy it back. And he's like, well, how much is it? And they're like, it's about 40% off. He's like, yeah, absolutely. He
Wow.
partners with his trust. He buys the property back, and then he gets a brand new depreciation schedule on top of it.
That's a
We
great
call him the
story.
Monday morning quarterback because he's like absolutely like played it perfectly, like how to do it. But I was talking to a guy about this the other day, and he's like, well, yeah, that's was just super lucky. And I was like, yeah, definitely. But at the same time, like he was situated correctly. Like he put his pieces in place to be able to do something like that. Where you 1031 into back in 2006 into 08, you're screwed. You're hitting the crash as everyone else. This guy got his property back after he sold it 40% off.
That's super cool.
With a new depreciation schedule. So super powerful strategy. You guys can learn about that at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. We also have a mastermind we do every Friday at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And you guys are all welcome to come and join that group. That's an interesting group. Talk a lot about crypto and how we can defer crypto taxes and whatnot into.
That's great, man. I love hearing a good story like that. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I had one random. I was cold calling people, and it was like literally I was gonna owe like 75,000 in taxes, and in like a week or two. And I was cold calling this guy, and he told me like I was calling him about like something random, like real estate, like buying his property. We started talking, and he was telling me about the accelerated depreciation on apartments.
Cossack?
Yeah. And then like we went and did that on a property that I had, and my 75 went down by like 40K.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, nobody told me about it. And it was just like, what? I called my accountant. I was like, can we do this? Like, yeah. I was like, why didn't But it was so weird how that was a lot of money to save just randomly, like a week before the money was due.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, I love my CPAs, right? For sure. Like, no knock on CPAs, but sometimes like they're it's not their job to give you tax strategy.
Right.
It's like, they come to them. I can't tell you how many people I'll tell like the deferred self-stress, like this strategy to people. And they're like, well, we can't, we've never heard about it. And my CPA's never heard about it. I'm like, I know, but there's reasons for that. And, just get them on a call. We'll share everything, all the track record and the legal thing. And there's thousands of closes and, 12 random audits, no changes, no findings, two formal audits, no changes, no findings. So it's legal. It's been around for 20 years. Like it was protected. So you don't know about it. Yeah. And so, it's hard sometimes to talk to these people who, are, and I'm in Newport Beach. They're uber wealthy here. Like they know their stuff. Obviously they have the $60 million house on the beach. And I'm just like some kid, like knocking on their door, like, hey man, like, let me show you how to save 40 million bucks. And they're like, get out of here. So it's that, it's that kind of mindset sometimes that, hey, I'm afraid of doing that. So I love your no fear mindset. Let's get to the lightning round, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. What's your favorite book?
Bible, but business related. Trammell Crow, Master Developer.
Master Developer. Okay. And favorite leadership quote?
I don't know if you consider this a leadership quote, but the humble cannot be discouraged.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. What are you most curious about right now?
I'm curious about cannabis and what's the future of it.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, I know. You say crypto, so it makes me think outside the box. But I'm a big believer in the flower and the future of it, and it's being held back by politics. And I'm really interested in what's going to happen.
Back in 06 or whatever, 07, 08, that was literally growing money on trees.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, last one. You said you got wife, got kiddos?
Yeah, 2 little baby boys.
What is one lesson that you're instilling in your kids that you would want, that you would kind of come back to your 20-year-old self and make sure that you had back then?
Man, that's a good one. They're really young, so I've been just trying to spend a lot of quality time. I
Yeah.
probably need to focus more on lessons. Just try and teach them. One thing that I'm pretty big on, and everyone probably has their own opinions, but me and my brother used to fight a lot. And I just really, I want to let them like wrestle and all this stuff, but I really want to not, you guys take care of each other. You're in this together. Like, don't fight. I try to teach them that. And I think I don't know if that's right or wrong. I think fighting's healthy for boys in some ways. But I just don't want them to do that. I don't want them to really go all out. So I try to, whenever they start to get into that, I try to teach them the best way I can.
Throw their butts in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no, really.
Really?
They're
Mandatory purple belt for all of my girls.
I wonder what's too young. They're 3 and 1.5. So
mine's 4, and she's going as soon as we get down to our spot.
Nice.
She's starting. Nice. All the girls for sure.
I'd love to hear, can I ask you that same question? I'd love to maybe get some advice on it as far as for your kids.
Yeah. Well, besides that, that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. That's my number one goal with those kids, is to make sure that they learn that, and that they hear God's voice, and that they follow that. That's my number one thing. From a business perspective, absolutely how to invest your money wisely, and make sure that they make sound business decisions. So like the other day I was playing wholesale and retail with my 4-year-old girl who has like a little kitchen, and I like brought her a box of all the like food. And I was like, okay, this is wholesale. I'm going to you give me this 20, and I'm going to give you all this food. And then like had the other little girl come up and like had 2 20s. And I'm like, okay, now you get 2 20s for these bananas, right? Like, and, just playing that type of stuff. So talking to them, and I don't want to say grown up terms, but just putting them in situations that require them to be creative, and also not being afraid of like being too complicated with them, because if I keep hounding it, they'll eventually like grasp it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I don't know if that's right or not. She's only 4, so that's my oldest one, and I got 3 of them. So
we're doing our best. I mean,
yeah,
it's great.
Definitely. Well, how can people find you?
We're all over, man. YouTube, Teifke Real Estate. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, TeifkeRealEstate.com. We're super easy to get a hold of and find. We have a pretty big social media focus, and we got 3 people full time, and that's all they do, and really believe in that, and just constantly putting stuff out all day, every day. So pretty easy.
Awesome. And you guys can find us at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Feel free to come to the webinar on Friday. You can register at capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. And Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. You've given us a ton to think about and chew on. And thank you for all the value. Guys, reach out to Matt, and I'm sure he'll provide even more value for you guys down the road. So thanks again for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy is the best way to grow and preserve your wealth. Please rate, review, and subscribe, guys, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.
Thanks.